The title of this video is How to Fix Low Self-Esteem. So this is a request from a friend in relation to avoidance or avoidant attachment style, but also to people who suffered from emotional neglect, severe emotional neglect, narcissistic abuse, or just people who throughout your life you felt like you didn't get the validation you deserved or the validation that you needed. So to deal with this, you started to look for validation. You were always looking over your shoulder, wondering, are you good enough for this person, for this job, for this group of people? Just always wondering about yourself, wondering about your self-image. Because self-esteem is all about how good you feel in your own skin, how you look at yourself, and through what eyes are you looking. Because everybody is looking for an objective, reality-based self-image. And if you don't have that, you are always looking for a validation. You're always unsure, always searching. It creates a hole in the aura. It creates a lack. You could say it's really the origin of scarcity consciousness, to have low self-esteem. Because as within, so without. How you feel about yourself, other people will agree to your sense of reality. Because in this world, nobody's really sure about anything. They're not sure about themselves. They're not sure about you. So because you are the best authority on you, however you feel about yourself, people will sense that. Therefore, like it says in the Bible, those who have will receive. Those who do not have will be taken from. And this is a very harsh law of the universe, that if you lack something, people will try to take away the very little bit that you have. But if you have a lot of something, people will give you more. And that is how it works with self-esteem. It's a self-fulfilling loop. Now, we want it to be a good loop, not a bad loop. Unfortunately, most people are in a bad loop. When it comes to their self-image, most people feel that they are inadequate and that people are always judging them. This is actually how the body produces anxiety. And fear is driving most people. And you want to get away from all of that. To get into high self-esteem, essentially you have to go from hell to heaven. From the underworld to the world of the living. From death to life. Because we live in a death cult. What gives people self-esteem usually is false. Their money, their success, their accomplishment. Death cult. There was this video from a guy, Owen Cook he's called. He said that the universe gives you shit tests. Shit test number 1. Do you feel that you are the shit? Because if not, you fail this test. If you need a reason, aka an accomplishment, aka a fact, aka a reason, just a reason, to feel good, like you're the shit, you fail the first test. So in order to have high self-esteem, your self-esteem cannot depend on anything you do, anything you've accomplished, anything you have. You are the shit because you are the shit. Because you are the shit, because you are the shit, because you are the shit. No other reason. If you need a reason to be the shit, you fail the first test. So that's very important key lesson I learned from Owen Cook about self-esteem. But actually, I didn't need that lesson because I watched that video when I already had high self-esteem. So maybe it will be useful to you to understand how did I overcome this. Because you see, my background is very dark. Of course, unsurprising because Liv, because the Cobra, of course, she is in the underworld. So I come from the underworld. I come from hell. And most people who look at my content, look at my page, they have no idea about my background. They think, oh, this blabbermouth. Oh, this selfish, narcissistic, maniacal person or whatever. If people look at my page, they think I'm crazy most of the time. Or I'm just very confident. But is it based on something? Because people always assume who they are. And most people obviously don't believe that they are the shit. Therefore, if you believe that you are the shit, people will try to test you. They will challenge that assumption. And this is test number 2. If you are challenged and you give any doubt at all, even a little bit, through micro expressions, tiny changes in your behavior, because people are very sensitive, they can see. If you doubt that you are the shit, your value decreases in their eyes. And because you can sense that your value is decreasing, a fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection rises. As the fear rises, the self-esteem drops. So this is test number 2. People will challenge your assumption. Can you have unwavering faith in yourself that you are the shit, that you are the man, that you are the woman? Because if you're not, for the simple reason that you exist and no other reason, just you exist, therefore you are the spark of God, therefore you are the shit. And if that's not good enough for you, why should it be good enough for them? But if it is good enough for you, if you are firm in your state of reality, your reality will take over. Because guess who takes over? God, the divine, the holy higher frequencies will always destroy the lower. The cobra, the phoenix, the snake, she sheds her skin, she sheds her false self and rises into a predatory kind of creature that other creatures are intimidated by, because they can see the power that is running through that entity. So if people can see your power, they can see your value. For them to see, you must see. To be given, you must have. If you do not see yourself as that beast, that power, people will not see it. So people will get the ick. People will leave you in conversation. But even if you are the shit, negative reactions cannot be prevented. Because if you are truly the shit, it is going to challenge other people. It's going to be a mirror to them. So people who have low self-esteem, especially if you're surrounded by them, they will be triggered by your healthy self-esteem. Therefore, there's a reasonable assumption to conclude that low self-esteem is a survival adaptation, a defense against the environment. To have low self-esteem, to have a lack of self-efficacy, of self-worth, of self-faith, is a coping strategy to deal with abusive, malignant, pathological caregivers and the mentally ill environment. But it's triggered by healthy, good, strong, confident self-esteem. So understanding this is very important because 99% of every single person on earth that has low self-esteem has grown up in an environment surrounded by people who have low self-esteem. What happens if that one sheep, that white sheep, becomes a black sheep? And that sheep suddenly starts to go into the opposite direction from all the other sheep. What happens? Exile. The left. Exile. Yes, literally. So you are abandoned. Therefore, if you have suffered from low self-esteem for a long time, once you get into higher self-esteem, your fear of abandonment will be triggered. And the prison system, which is the control system of the Matrix, which is shame and guilt, Saturn black cube, will be activated inside your DNA to try to trap you, to prevent you from accepting reality, which is that you are the shit. Therefore, your own body, in a self-protecting mechanism, will create this shell, this ego of, oh, I'm a victim, oh, I'm bad, oh, I'm not that great, oh, I am not the shit, I'm nobody, is an ego shell, an identity to protect yourself from abandonment by all the other mentally ill, demonically possessed people. That is all it is. Once you accept that, your self-esteem exponentially rises with that realization. That alone helps. But that alone is not enough. So, how have I gained high self-esteem in my life? How did I do it? After all, I grew up surrounded by people who want me to be dead, who hate my guts. But these are my caretakers. Those who hate my guts, who would love to see me tortured with their sadism, are my malignant caregivers. How am I going to survive being so confident that they are so triggered that they would literally kill me? Because you see, if you have high self-esteem around, if you have high value, if you are power incarnate around people who do not feel that same way about themselves, if they feel really low, which your parents would have done, they will look at you as a threat to their existence. So therefore, they will try to hurt you. You know, this is happening to attractive people. If you are attractive, or you know anybody who is attractive, you're thinking, oh, if I'm attractive, isn't that going to be great? Isn't everybody going to treat me well? Wrong. People hate attractive people, and they come after them. And actually, this is something I experienced many times. When my hair looks good, which is not now, but when my hair looks good, I attract a lot of hate. And I used to think, am I doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with me? You know, because we don't think, oh, we're so attractive, they must be jealous. Usually narcissists think that way. Normal people don't. Normal people usually assume, well, they look at me like I did something wrong, so maybe I did. No, you didn't do anything wrong. You challenged their self-image. Envy was triggered. And envy is no different from Satanism, from a demonic possession. You know, when you become attractive, when you have high self-esteem, people feel like they want to kill you. They want to bath in your, you know what, in your red juices. They want to... Because your identity, which is divine, is a mirror to their identity, which is satanic, evil, demonic. Because the light exposes the dark, like vampires exposed by sunlight. High self-esteem, high value targets are targets. the vast majority of the human population. That's why if you think having high self-esteem is going to make you more attractive, it is true. And while you raise your attraction, people will hate you more. Therefore, to accept self-esteem to be high, to accept that you are the shit because you are the shit, is to be polarizing. If you're not polarizing, you don't have high self-esteem. Being polarizing, being hated, being notorious, like Rumi says, be notorious, ruin your reputation. If you're not willing to ruin your reputation, low self-esteem. I know this is very extreme, what I say. I understand, but this is just what I learned. Because as my self-esteem rose over the years, I got more and more hatred. People hate me more. People dislike me more. But simultaneously, my success is increasing. People are suddenly starting to offer me to go to events, invite me to parties. Suddenly people want to socialize with me. They want me to be there with them for no other reason except that I think that I'm the shit. And they feel that. Like the light of the sun, they are fed by it, nourished by it, and they want more. Therefore, if you are not the sun, then what are you? A black hole? Are you something in the middle? Like sometimes I'm the sun, sometimes I'm not? Then people will think of you as wishy-washy, as I don't know if I can trust this person. They don't trust themselves, so why should I trust them? Like, really? So if people don't trust you, if people don't open up to you, if people don't want to be intimate with you, the issue isn't them. The issue is you. Your self-esteem is low. You don't think you are the shit. So why should they? Now, me personally, everybody tells me everything. Of course, I'm a therapist, so it's my job to be told things, but in real life, people tell me the darkest shit all the time, knowing that it will never be revealed. It dies with me. Because my self-esteem is so high, because I value myself so highly, other people know that I value them equally. As within, so without. Those who give will be given. Those who have will be given. That means that how you look at yourself, you look at others. You look for that which you have within. You attract that which you are. So look at your environment. Are you surrounded by people who have high self-esteem? Who are your friends, your closest friends? Your closest friends reveal how you feel about yourself. If your friends have low self-esteem, you will find that once your self-esteem rises, they will be pushed out of your reality. Unless you're a therapist. I am between the underworld and the world of the living, like Lilith. It's a transversal goddess. Transversal deity, so I have special privilege. But chances are you don't have special privilege. Therefore, if you're surrounded by low self-esteem people, count on the fact that they will be triggered and they will probably leave you if your self-esteem rises. It's just a reality. They will call you arrogant. They will think, I knew it. Now the mask drops. Why? As within, so without. Because they look for who they are in you. If they feel that being the shit is wrong, how do you think they look at you? Oh, they are the shit now. Oh, I wish I was like that. No. No. Somebody who is convinced that they are not the shit, that they should not be the shit, will think that somebody who thinks otherwise is crazy. Exile. Rejection. The very same thing that you're afraid of to happen when you rise your self-esteem, to deal with your malignant caregivers who abused you, who are triggered by your very existence, that fear will become a reality once you rise with your self-esteem. Because as your self-esteem rises, the reality has to change. As you step out of hell, hell must be left behind you. You cannot carry what is not yours. People with low self-esteem are not yours. They are not yours. They will never be yours. They have to do the inner work. Are they going to do it? Just because they look at you and, oh, you're so great now. No. No. Their ego will be triggered because ego is exponentially stronger as your self-esteem is lower. Because you see, like I said in the beginning, people who have low self-esteem itself is ego. Believe it or not, this is hilarious, isn't it? Doesn't it go against everything that the spiritual community has told you? Right? Oh, you believe you are the shit, ego. Right? Wrong! Believing you are not the shit is ego. Believing you are not the shit is satanic. Yeah, not narcissistic, no, satanic. A narcissist at the core, not consciously, unconsciously, believes they are garbage. That they are the worst of the worst. That's ego. Ego. To believe you are everything that ever was, the power of God itself, not God, but its power, its fuel, its medium, its channel, its representation. You know, I represent God. If I don't believe I represent God, what do I represent? Ego. The material realm. Oh, my success. My achievements. Which, of course, there are plenty. I have plenty of achievements. As it usually goes, people with low self-esteem are very achievement-oriented. Just like narcissists. Oh, I'm going to earn the million. You know how narcissists are obsessed with money. You know how narcissists are obsessed with status, with recognition, with achievement, because they don't believe they are the shit. They need that external validation. They need the facts to back up an empty core, which actually, the emptiness itself is ego. Not the fullness of the sun. The sun is not ego. The sun is spirit of fire. But fire is high self-esteem. So therefore fire burns. Some fire hurts. Fire destroys. Fire creates. So to have high self-esteem is to have high energy levels. People who have low self-esteem have low energy levels. Low. How can you have energy if you are constantly micromanaging your expression? Micromanaging what people think about you, how you think about you, how they feel about you, how you feel about you. Just constantly managing the shell, the identity, which is created to keep the self-esteem low. Like an addiction, like a drug, like a trauma bond. A trauma bond is actually an accurate term for low self-esteem because you see, a narcissist, why do people stay with narcissists? Why do they have a trauma bond? Because they believe that they have no internal worth. Narcissist needs to give them that worth. The achievement needs to give you that worth. The status needs to give you that worth. The work, the food, the good looks, the appearance has to give you that worth. Because it's a shell. It's a defense. It's a character armoring. So therefore it's a pathological defense mechanism to fit into an environment which is also mentally deranged. Surrounded by lunatics who all believe that their self-esteem depends on the external. And they now look at you. Oh, you think you are somebody when you haven't achieved anything. You haven't accomplished anything. You maybe have a regular job. Maybe you have low money, low pay, low friends, low status. And now you come along as this weird anomaly to think you are the shit. So they're going to question you, like, what is up with this person? Why are they suddenly thinking they are somebody when there's no facts to back it up? They'll question you. They test you. And when they do, are you going to believe their perception of you? Because as long as you value the perception of the ego, that is all that you are getting, then you will have low self-esteem. You see, low self-esteem is a survival defense dependent on the gaze of the ego, on the evil eye. Literally. This is, I know this is all very new to you perhaps, the spiritual language I'm using. That's exactly what it is. Low self-esteem is dependency on the evil eye to appease Sauron. The eye of Sauron, you know, in Lord of the Rings. Sauron is obsessed with a ring. The ring is Saturn, by the way, the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings, Saturn. Because Saturn is a planet with rings. Saturn is the box, the cube. So low self-esteem is a box. And you're thinking, how does my box look like today? What is your appearance, your status, your achievement? How does my box look? Is my box neat? Is it tidy? You know how they do it in cults? How they want you to fit into a specific box, into a uniform. How you should dress, a dress code. You learn it in school, don't you? You can't dress like this. You can't stand like this. Narrow down, contract, box the consciousness in. As you get more specific, as you get more focused, the eyes close, the consciousness closes, self-esteem drops. I know this sounds funny, because this is very general, but this is bioenergetics. This is what's happening in the body, you see? So what do? You need to disperse your energy. You need to be in the flow. You need to let go of the shell. And the fear will take over. The resistance, the conditioning, the matrix, the control system. The evil eye. Sauron, he will take over. Because as you let go, you will feel those contractions in your body. You will feel the armor trying to maintain the identity. So you need to cut those identities out. You know, self-esteem is not about building. You don't need to build self-esteem. You have self-esteem. You need to remove the blocks. The self-esteem is already there. There has never been a problem with your self-esteem. Self-esteem is blocked. So what's blocking it? Identity. Identification with material realm. Control. To close the consciousness down, to become very focused, to become very disciplined, like an ideal. You know, we call it the ego ideal. The ego ideal is the image that you always try to maintain. And most people who have a very low self-esteem, because the self-esteem is so low, because the self-image is so painful, they come up with strategies to try to regulate their emotions. So often there's a very competitive frame. Yeah, if you want to recognize somebody with low self-esteem, they're either very competitive, they're a victim, like they complain a lot. They say, oh, this person has treated me badly, or this blockage and this problem and that problem. Or they say that they need help. Like if only the right person, if I had the right person, the right partner, the right job, the right pay, if I only had that one thing, finally I would have self-esteem. So external validation. You can recognize also, and this is the most important one, if somebody is in a big competitive, like a bully frame, like a macho, toxic masculinity, it's a number one sign of low self-esteem. Because self-esteem is about the masculine. It's not feminine. It's masculine because it's the Son. It's the Father. The Holy Father, the Father and the Son. When they become one, you are God. You are the shit because you are the shit, because you are the Son of God. But if you believe you are not the Son of God, if you believe you are nobody, right? Ram Dass being nobody, spiritual bypassing, brainwashing, the Matrix. If you believe the Matrix, if you believe Ram Dass, yeah, it's the Matrix. Believe it or not. Of course, the Matrix always comes from religion, always comes from cults, always comes from spirituality. If you believe that, you're lost. Nobody, really. Of course, it's true. We are all nobodies. Because we are not the body. Because we are the spark of God. Therefore, it's not about the body. It's not about the material. With that, Ram Dass was correct. But the statement itself of not being anything, how does that work? Don't you believe you are something? Well, what are you? Who am I? The self-esteem depends on who you think you are. And if that's not as solid as a mountain, tall, fortified, strengthened, impenetrable, like Fort Knox, low self-esteem. And the funny thing is, high self-esteem can be mimicked. High self-esteem can be faked. Yeah, somebody can look at my videos and can fake me. It's easy. It's not a problem. You can fake me, but you know it's a different energy because it's an energy that sucks you. It's looking for your validation. It's like, you know, it wants you. It's catering to your perception. It's inflexible. It's kind of boring, you know, after a while. You see the same thing over and over again. There's no creativity. There's no thinking. So when somebody mimics high self-esteem, like a narcissist, that also looks like Fort Knox because the individuality is so rigid, it cannot stand any criticism. It cannot stand any testing. So actually it is very fragile. Very fragile. So that's why narcissists cannot handle criticism. Because they cannot handle any tests to their identity. Because their identity is already so low, so down, so destroyed, like a slug, not a snake, a slug. Therefore, there's nothing there, so it hurts. Your criticism hurts so bad. It burns through their soul. It's like they're being burned alive within their own skin. That's why sometimes, you know, when people get eczema, inflammation of the body, psoriasis, self-esteem related issues, it's a form of self-hatred. It's eating the body from the inside, but it's unconscious. It's deep inside the body. Remember, self-esteem is an adaptation to the environment. It's a self-protective mechanism. To have low self-esteem is to be contracted, is to burn on the inside because of shame. Shame is low self-esteem. And shame is a defense mechanism. Shame does not exist in nature. Animals are not ashamed. Humans are, because, I don't know, like, look at the Adam and Eve story. Look at Lilith's story. They tell Lilith, oh, you are the villain. You are the demoness. You are the succubus. You should be ashamed. And now you become the snake in the garden, giving Adam and Eve the knowledge of good and evil. And they become naked. They become aware that they are naked. And because they don't have any self-esteem, they feel ashamed about their nakedness. And this is a very important metaphor, because that is at the core of narcissism and avoidant attachment style. The fear of being vulnerable, the fear of intimacy, is the fear to be naked. In astrology, it's a Scorpio-related issue. That's why often people who have self-esteem issues suffer from enmeshment trauma, or people who have emotional neglect, emotionally unavailable people. So self-esteem, if you want to attract highly available people, highly attuned people, people who have empathy and compassion for you, your self-esteem must be high. Because high self-esteem, like the fire of the sun, it exorcises demonic forces. It repels narcissists and avoidance. They can't stand people who have high self-esteem. They look at you like you're crazy. Like there's something wrong with you. They feel the ick with you. This is why, actually, as you will find on my page, many people feel the ick with me. People attack me on the daily. People tell me how I'm a narcissist, which is really ironic. I'm the exact opposite. How I'm so dangerous. I could call it dangerous. Because I tell people that you should stop giving a fuck. Just believe that you are the shit. And if they don't like it, okay, cool. Who cares? But no, you're supposed to care, right? You're supposed to be a slave to the collective. Collectivism. Yeah, very important term. I just learned recently. So many nice, interesting things you learn when you study this shit. Collectivism is a term to describe a state of mind in which the collective is all that matters. People are resources. People have value. But the individual, which is you, which is them, your friends, your family, your partner, yourself, no value. No value. What has value is to conform, to have collective consensus. Consensus means agreement, means that everybody is the same. Globalism means that everybody thinks the same, feels the same, agrees, works together in cooperation. The age of Aquarius, the age of narcissism, the age of collectivism, the age of avoidant attachment style, the age of emotional unavailability, cold, detached Aquarius. Technology, internet, networking, using people to uplift yourself, to gain resources, to gain opportunities, which is all correct, all very good things. The collectivist abuses this by externalizing the entire existence, where the individual only matters in context to the group. That is why avoidance and narcissists and people with low self-esteem are very service-oriented. People with strong Virgo placements, 6th house placements in the natal chart, service-oriented. That means they are focused on fixing people. People in the healing professions, yeah, even therapists like me. Where do you think I come from? From hell. So therefore, people like this come often from hell, like people in the hospital, social institutions, mental asylums, people that take care of you are most of the time the most mentally ill people you can find. Because they have often no self-esteem. Because the entire identity, the entire self-worth is energized and fueled by the collective valuing their contribution to the Borg cube, the hive mind, the assimilation of the individual into the group where you disappear and you're no more. You're no more. So who are you? Who are you? Enmeshment trauma, an extension of society, a drone, a robot, an automaton, a part of a death cult. That's exactly what I said in the beginning. The Saturn black cube, the Borg cube, the age of Aquarius, the age of collectivism, narcissism, avoidant attachment. You can use all the words, you can use all the labels, you can use all the terms, and you will be correct every single time on point. Because that is all that low self-esteem creates. These are symptoms of a cancer within humanity. The cancer of being disconnected from source, of not knowing that you are the shit because you are the shit. Like, really, that's all it is? Like, can we just fix it overnight? We could. We could fix it overnight. But are we going to? No, we are not. So therefore, fix yourself. Stop being a collectivist. Don't be a servant to others. Be a servant to the self. Individualism is the cure. Because the individual, to be divided from who? From Satan, is the cure to be free from Satan, obviously. To be one, you are already one. Why do you try to be one? You already. How can you not be one? You cannot be one if you are one with the devil. If you're one with Satan. Like, how is it going to help you? To be one. To be nobody. To be a drone. Like, what is this shit? Non-identity is fine. As long as you don't forget that your actual identity is divine. Identity is given. Those who have will be given. Do you have an identity? Are you given an identity? Or are you looking for one? Because if you're looking for one, you will never find it. Oh, if I just have more money, if I just get more views on YouTube, if I just get more followers on Facebook, I will be that person. Bad identity. It's a loop. It's a Borg cube. So how do you fix? Simple. Identity is already there. Are you listening? Because it's not logic that's going to help you here. Yourself, your self-esteem, your identity, it cannot be found in logic. Because logic belongs to this world. Logic is of a material realm, matter, logos. It's knowledge. But the identity is not based on knowledge. Identity is based on something else. Something that is given to you. You receive instruction. Instruction from who? Certainly not from this world. Certainly not from the people inside it. Certainly not from objects, ideas, concepts, religions, cults. None of them can give you the instructions that you're looking for. And that is what most people do, don't they? They look for the Bible, the 10 Commandments, to command me. Because they were intelligent enough to realize that their own commands aren't working. That they need guidance. Because the ego is not a guide at all. It's a deceiver. The ego is a servant to Satan. So therefore your ego cannot help you. Of course the ego can be a servant. If you are already connected to the divine, the ego just becomes a representation. But if the ego is not connected, then the ego is with Satan. So, commandments. Where do you get them from? Simple. Connect to the heart. Connect to your soul. You cannot use logic. There's no technique. There's no special instruction. What do I use? You don't need anything. Just remove. Let go. Oh, but if I let go, will I not sing Looney Tunes in the Looney Bin? Will I not become psychotic? Of course, that is the fear. You will become psychotic if you let go of yourself. I'm not telling you to let go of yourself. I'm only telling you to let go of what is in the way of the self, not the self. The self is the command. The command is the self. Do you understand? No. Most people will not, actually. Because, again, it is not based on logic. It is not based on knowledge. Okay? The self and its commands that you receive through the body, through instincts, through the soul intelligence is already there. Already in this moment, the command is there. Are you listening? You're not thinking, not guessing. Maybe you can't stop thinking, that's fine. Just listening. tuning in. Like, really, why are we making this complicated? It's not complicated. It's not difficult. Oh, but it's too simple. I don't understand. How did I learn? Well, I remember I had a Kundalini awakening in 2020. I just had this realization, oh, I am only under somebody else's control. Not under the matrix, not under the people, not under anything, just I am not giving the commands to this body. I'm not in charge of this fate. Because it's not me. I mean, it is me, of course, but something is taking over. And that was what which is taking over. It's taking over every moment, every second, every day. But are you listening? Because this cannot be taught. You know, like it's like teaching enlightenment. How are you going to teach that? When you are enlightened, which is what happened, I guess, because of course I don't know. Again, this doesn't belong to knowledge, so I don't know if this is enlightenment, but I had a Kundalini awakening. So I had this sensations of the snake, literally, you know, the snake rising from the bottom, going all the way up, and breaking open my crown. And I was showered with energy. Everything was just open. And so everything I did, everything I said, everything I thought, everything I felt, there was no separation from myself. You know, the identity is a cover-up. The shell of the ego. It's an armor to protect yourself against a malignant, psychologically, mentally deranged, I'm telling you, lunatic environment. Because only lunatics would make you feel so bad about God coming through itself that you would even think to create such a mentally deranged armor around your heart. But that's what we do. That's what every single one of us does. We all do this. You cannot escape it, but you can work at it. And of course, in my experiences, I don't know, I was trusting that whatever is taking over, that it is to be trusted. It's about the original mother wound. The wound that you are not to be trusted. That you are not the shit because you are the shit. That you are not the Son of God, the authority, the light, the intelligence. It's the belief, subconsciously, you don't even know, that there's something wrong with you. And that because something's wrong with you, you need to hide, you need to control, you need to suppress. And this is instinctive. It's like a habit. You just need to break the habit, that's all. And when you can break the habit, it is going to take over. And that is why people who are connected, their energy is diffused, dissolved, like water. Just open, you know, like Bruce Lee says, move like water, be like water. Because the soul, it comes through water. It informs. Water is a container. Your body is mostly water. So therefore your body is designed to receive, to contain information. And that water is emotion. Energy in motion. That energy is supposed to move you. But if you do not let it move you, if you do not allow the water to guide you, then you will always be stuck. Because the ego, it creates a shell to suppress the water. So the body becomes stiff, dehydrated, crystallized. That's why people age prematurely. They become rigid. So their body, it becomes swollen. You know how there's water retention, circulation problems, varicose veins, inflammation, dehydration, stiff neck, stiff limbs, stiff whatever, I just stiff. And water is like a snake. You know? I know my light is getting dark, so I'm going to end it actually here. So does it mean that to be high self-esteem you need to be like a snake, like me? Be like water. Of course it comes back to this simplicity. So what is the point of me telling you all of this? Do these explanations help you? Does this information help you? Yes. Because it exposes what's wrong with you. Which is not you. Not you at all. It's just what you've been told. The knowledge you've been given is wrong. And that's all I try to explain. So when you know what the problem is, knowing the problem is already solving the problem. That's all. When you know where the self-esteem is coming from, problem is no more. You don't need a technique. You don't need external validation. You don't need to achieve anything. It's already all there. Just buried, suppressed. Just bring it back up. Start dancing like a whirlwind. But anyways, that's all I have to say about the topic. It looks very sultry in there. Sultry? Sultry? What does it mean? I'm not an English native speaker. What does it mean? Sultry! What does it mean? Translation. Sultry. What does sultry mean? Oh, it's not sultry. It just looks like it because of the lighting. Anyways, this is finishing the video. I hope you like this video. If you like to get a personal reading with me, or if you like to get into my services, you can check them out in the description box below, my services page. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and see you in the next video.